the best day in May so far, 1996. We're off on a wonderful ride up the River Wear. We're going to find out exactly where it actually starts from. So we're starting off from the mouth in Sunderland, and we're just following up the Wear.
At the mouth of the Wear lies the port of Sunderland. Today it has a rather empty, desolate feel, mirroring the decline of the traditional industries of the town and its surrounding areas. The empty berths tell their own story. 100 years ago, it was all rather different. Sunderland was a Victorian boom town and the fourth busiest port in England, shipping glass, pottery, coal and all manner of manufactured goods to the Empire and beyond. Even in the 1960s, the harbour was still full of ships, but the final death knell sounded when the coal shipping ceased in December 1986.
Someone's house here, Lawrence. No doors or windows, like.
Yeah, it's true.
It's a bit hard furniture, isn't it?
It's all right in May. I would think by the end of November.
Tell you what, let's check some books out here. Right, here we are, just right up to the other side. We're heading up to St. Peter's Church, I believe, one of the oldest churches in, well, somewhere in the area.
In England?
In England, really.
Oh,
yeah. In England, yeah, in England.
Peter's Church was founded as a monastery by Benedict Biscop in AD 673. Today only the west wall and the porch remains of the original building. The Venerable Bede produced such works as the Ecclesiastical History here. Glassmakers were brought over from France to glaze the windows, which founded 13 centuries of glassmaking on Wearside. The centre of Sunderland has a forlorn look today, not surprising considering its economic decline. The much lamented Victorian Town Hall dominated Fawcett Street. It was demolished in 1971, an act of supreme local government vandalism. Fine architecture is thin on the ground in Sunderland, the museum and art gallery being a rare example, with its lake and park to the rear. The former winter gardens were destroyed by the wartime bombing, the town being the poorer for it. Hitler's Luftwaffe made many visits to Sunderland due to its importance as a shipbuilding centre. The subsequent development of the bomb sites are in the concrete and glass austerity style, the brave new world of the 1960s architects gone mad. The Georgian terraces are now the offices of solicitors and estate agents. They are a rare example of preservation rather than desecration. The post office is also a rare gem. In its glory days, Sunderland's theatres hosted some of the most famous entertainers in the world. Laurel and Hardy, Houdini, right the way through to Buffalo Bill's Wild West Show in 1904. The Avenue Theatre, opened in 1882, is one of the few still standing. Today, it is the bottling hall of Vaux Breweries, the city's second largest employer, makers of the fine Double Maxim Ale, far superior to its coarse cousin from the Tyne.
Well, as you can see, due to the efforts of the Tyne Weir Council, this land here that used to be derelict industry has been partially made to look a bit better.
Walking on cobblestones, little bits of skin and bone.
Right, as you can see behind us, this was actually formerly Wearmouth Colliery, and it's now led to believe the new area where the Roker men are going to play from, Sunderland AFC. So this is it before, we'll come back and show you one after later on in the year.
Coal fueled the Industrial Revolution in Britain in the 18th century, satisfying the ever-increasing demand for iron and steel. The Durham coalfield was the greatest of all, employing almost 250,000 men just before World War I. It is almost inconceivable that all of this died with the closure of Wearmouth Colliery on the 23rd of November 1993. 30 years earlier, it was announced that 36 square miles under the sea were to be worked, producing 200 million tonnes of coal and work for 200 years. With the end of deep coal mining in County Durham went the pit heaps and the pollution that had despoiled the environment for 200 years. From the site of Wearmouth Colliery is to rise the new stadium of Sunderland Football Club. Its home for the last 98 years has been Roker Park. Hemmed in by housing on 3 sides and condemned as obsolete by the Taylor Report, Roker Park's days are numbered. The club its supporters can't help falling in love with celebrated their successful 95-96 campaign with a Division 1 title and promotion to the Premier League. Through years of economic disasters, the men in red and white have both filled and dashed the dreams of the good people of Sunderland. Such is the fierce pride in the lads in Sunderland.
There came a time for him to sail across the seas and far away. Finally, when that war was won, you brought him home, and home he stayed. And when his days were done, under a golden sun, you took him
Right,
back
there's the Queen Alexandra Bridge there behind us.
to the sea. For this was a
The Queen Alexandra Bridge has provided a backdrop to the launch of countless ships from the yards that crowded both banks of the Wear as far as Hilton, which earned Sunderland the title the greatest shipbuilding town in the world. Started 650 years ago, shipbuilding employed more than 20,000 men at the turn of the 20th century. In the Second World War, a quarter of the country's ships were built here. By the 1960s, monster cargo ships, such as the 150,000-ton Nordic Chieftain and the Aurora, were launched. The toil and noise and the danger of the work formed a unique camaraderie amongst the workers, but also bred entrenched trade union practices, such as demarcation, which threatened the economic viability of the industry. Increased competition from the Far East and the downstream turn in world demand for ships provoked an unsympathetic Conservative government to do the unthinkable, and the proud tradition of shipbuilding on the Wear was ended in December 1988. Today, only the Deptford covered yard remains. The most modern in Europe once, now consigned to the General Engineering Works, following the signing of a deal by the Tyne and Wear Development Corporation and the EEC. Enterprise Zone status would be granted to the whole north bank of the river, provided that shipbuilding was discontinued permanently. Judas money, it was claimed at the time, and the price was generations of skill and craftsmanship and tradition lost forever. The song and dance of the Newcastle-based media, following the closure of Swan Hunter on the Tyne 4 years later, was in complete contrast to the demise of the Weir. The up-and-running Enterprise Zone is dedicated to attracting modern, clean, technology-based industry. The so-called inward investment was led by the Japanese car giant Nissan, now the major employer. It is ironic that we once built ships for the Far East, now we build their cars. The upside on the death of the traditional industries on the Sunderland is the rebirth of the Weir as one of the major salmon rivers in the north of England.
Moving a bit.
Right, well up to now we've been following the east-west cycle route. At this point we're at the beginning of where the cycle route actually goes on the old railway line which goes from Sunderland up to Consett Ironworks. At this point we're going to deviate from it though and head into the fields and do some trespassing.
Eddie waited till he finished high school.
All right. By the way, bit of advertising. Spectacle Surprise by Lawrence Crosthwaite.
Right, we've reached the outskirts of industrial Sunderland and we're going to drop down to the river to South Hilton, and just in the distance behind me there's a pension monument there. There's the first view of that, and also there's the castle, Hilton Castle over to the right, but we'll see that later on.
Our first castle on the Weir, Hilton, is almost Disney-esque. The site dates back to the Norman conquest, when the land up to Wearmouth was given to the Hilton family by William the Conqueror. On the east wall are the coats of arms of many of the influential families of the period, such as the Bowes and the Nevilles. In the last century, it was used as a school. A former pupil was Joseph Swan, the inventor of the incandescent electric light. Today it is surrounded by a rather nasty council estate.
They moved into a place they both could afford. He found a nightclub he could work
Till we wait, there's new work in the back end.
She had a guitar and she taught him some chords. The sky was the limit.
There's the countryside around us, and obviously there's some parts of it that aren't quite nice.
Under them skies of blue, out in the great wide open, a rebel without a clue. The paper said it always played from the heart. He got an agent and a roadie named Bart. They made a record and it went in the charts. The sky was the limit. His leather jacket had chains that would jingle. They both met movie stars, partied and mingled.
I'll tell the farmer on you.
Man said, I don't hear a single. The future future was wide open. Into the great wide open, under them skies of blue. Out in the great wide open.
Now at Cox Green, there's a lovely hostelry here. I presume we're going to stop for a pint.
Into the great wide open, under them skies of blue. Into the great wide open, a rebel without a clue.
The Victoria Viaduct was opened on the day of Queen Victoria's coronation in 1838 and closed along with the Lambton Coke Works 150 years later. It was said to be based on the Roman aqueduct at Alicante in Spain. Puncher Monument, based on the Temple of Theseus in Athens, can be seen from the north bank. Quite a unique combination. Wearside's most famous landmark, the monument, was built in the memory of George Lambton, 1st Earl of Durham, and known as Radical Jack of the 1832 Reform Act. As Governor of Canada, he prepared the Durham Report, which gave Canada her first government. There is a staircase inside one of the columns, which was closed in 1926, after a boy fell to his death. Those acquainted with the legend of the Lambton Worm, many think this tale is associated with Pencher Hill. The hill in question is in fact the far less impressive Worm Hill at Fatfield.
As you can see, we've just entered the grounds of the Lambtons, and it's been a slight day or two to the journey, as weather conditions, as you can see, are not too well. But we're just entering into the the grounds now. As you can see by the sign, it is actually private property on here, but I think we'll be okay, chaps.
Well, yes. Yeah. No point in worrying about it.
No, in truth, can't mean up.
We're on business.
Stately Biddick Hall is the family seat of Viscount Lambton, Earl of Durham. For many years he has preferred his Italian estate in Tuscany, relaxing far away from the British tabloid press. From Pencher Hill it looks like a rainforest. The tree plantations of the last century have matured into some stunning parkland. Before the age of steam, down wooden wagonways, horse-drawn carts led their black cargo from Lambton's collieries to be loaded to the keel boats that rode the tide down to the river to Sunderland.
We naughty, naughty boys for being in here. I hope we don't get caught by the nasty gamekeeper, because we'll be in big trouble.
Lambton Castle was a statement by a very successful man. Built by the first Earl on his triumphant return from Canada, it was built on the site of the former Harriton Hall, the Lambton and Harriton families having been united by marriage some years before, resulting in an estate covering great tracts of County Durham with its rich coal reserves. Later generations must have hit upon slightly harder times, when 1/3 of the castle was demolished to reduce death duties of the previous Lord Durham. The reduced castle's finest features are the balustrades on the south wall. The sad little chapel in the castle grounds is long deserted. This fine scene of man's struggles is found on the outside wall, perhaps a symbol of the toil of generations of miners who helped produce the wealth of the Lambtons. The coach block is also disused. It was from here that the horses and carriages would have been trotted out to take the Lords of Durham on their official business. The coat of arms above the impressive archway now announces the gamekeeper's workshops.
Right, we're actually standing on, what's the name of this bridge, Pete?
Lamb.
Lamb Bridge.
It's a
Is
lamb
it?
without the ton on the end.
Yeah, we're actually standing in the middle of it. Right in the middle of it.
Heading for Chester Street and the golf
Yeah,
course next.
straight down that way, there's Chesley Street. We'll come out, then go along the river and come to the golf course in Lumley Castle. Right, at this point here, the river takes a completely different direction, turns back on itself. And down here, in this bend in the river, used to be the race course, the Lambton State. Right, today we're at the exit gates of Lambton Park, and we're going to carry on now towards Chesley Street, and there's loads of bridges, loads of castles and everything from here to Durham, so we're off there now.
Bye-bye now.
How many times have you woken up and prayed for the rain? How many times have you seen the papers apportion the blame? Who gets to say? Who gets the work and who gets to play? I was always told everybody should get the same.
Right, the bridge behind us is actually an old footbridge. At high tide and flood, the actual water level will be actually above this blue bridge just behind Pete there. And behind us to my right, your left, if you look on the screen, is the new developments for Chesley Street. As you can see on there that the flattening area's out and put new riverbanks in, stop for flooding and what have you. So we'll come back and view this in a few months' time. See how it goes.
Built on the remains of the Roman fort of Sestra on the Great North Road, Chesley Street today is a bustling market and commuter settlement. Formerly a mining centre and manufacturer of dainty diner toffees, it is now the underage drinking capital of Northern Europe. An architectural desert, apart from the parish church of St Mary and St Cuthbert, with its spire.
How many times have the weathermen told you stories that made you laugh? You know it's not unlike the politicians and the leaders when they do things by half. Who gets the job? Pushing the knob. That sort of responsibility you draw straws for if you're mad. Friday night. There's always the sun. Oh yes, there's always the sun. Always, always, always.
Magnificently preserved Lumley Castle overlooks Chester Street from the opposite bank of the river. The parkland is now a neatly manicured golf course and its castle a very exclusive hotel, patronised by royalty and rock stars alike. Built by Sir Ralph Lumley in the 14th century on the permission of King Richard II, the 4 symmetrical towers contain a newel staircase that ascends to the battlements. Having escaped lightly from the struggles with the Scots and the English in the Civil War, the castle was extensively modernised by architect Sir John Vanbrugh in the 1720s. By 1807, the Lumley family had been reduced to such straitened circumstances that the family possessions, including rare tapestries, pictures and furniture, were sold off, and the castle was deserted for 100 years. On the turn of this century, Frederica, Countess of Scarborough, lived in the castle, and her descendants now rent it to the hotel company. Having restored it to its former glories, a very classy wedding can be arranged here for a price.
We used to come here swimming in the river when we were young lads, eh?
Before it got polluted, you know.
Is that why it's dangerous?
You polluted it.
As you can see to our right here is the new housing development built on the grounds of roundabout to the cricket area. My own views about this area, I think it's quite actually the countryside around here. They should have left it like remaining just near cricket ground, and they might not have been able to charge as much for the car parks. Oh, there's a... Is that you, right, Phil?
That wasn't a friend of mine.
Yeah?
Trying to get the best farming land around on the riverbank.
Would you have sold this for housing? If this was your property, would you have sold this for housing? I mean, you've made a fair bit of cash, but I mean, look what it's doing to the area.
Right, at this point here we have to leave the trail by the riverbank because the next bit of land is owned by Nicholson's and there's no access by bicycle. So Lawrence is going to do it on a horseback and we're just going to carry on and pick it up, I think.
Right, we're now on the Nicholson's estate, and this is Oscar, by the way. So what I'm going to do now, because this is all private property, not allowed even to walk across this, we're going to take the next bit of the river by horseback. So I'll just jump on for you. Come on. Stand. And off we go. This isn't easy on horseback. You won't stand still. It's as if we've got company at this point. Try and get through this gate.
Harbour House is in the middle of the South Hill estate. It is incongruously modelled on a harbour master's house and was previously the farm manager's dwelling. South Hill Hall, now a circuit judge's residence, is the former seat of the Nicholson family, owners of Vaux Breweries. Chairman Frank, the second son, is now reduced to slumming it in Cocken House. The enchanting estate is now a successful shooting venture and a horse-riding paradise.
Well, with the end of the bit that I'm going to do by horseman, then I'm going to try and catch up with the rest of the lads. So all Oscar boys are doing well, so I'll have to get changed. Give me a second. Right, let's get these off. I think he's a well-deserved snack. Whoa, Mr. Horse. Right, so I'm going to go and look for the others, so it's back on the bike.
We've done this sort of thing before.
This brings you back, lad. Stab you the knife.
Right, well Lawrence has caught up with us again now, and here we are back on the riverbank, just to the southern side of Finkel Abbey. Oh, northern side should it be. And we're going to head off down the riverbank again now towards Durham, hopefully get there for lunchtime.
There's a lot of crittles about. Just come through some very, very prickly stuff, Phil. What will you say, eh? In the middle of it, I've had a bit of a technical hitch, a bit of a mechanical failure here. I'm just about through it, I think. Yeah, we're back off.
I'm just going to put some leg protection
No, we're
on.
back off, actually. We're back off. We're trying to get the bike into the lowest gear to get up the next camber there, but it's more to play from. That's it. Seems to be it. Let's go. Dirty ass creature.
Right. Well, we're taking a well-earned break at Finkel Public Toilets.
Anyway, isn't it?
Then I ran into the hangman. He said it's time to die.
All highly illegal.
Are you ready for the country? Because it's time.
where we are now at the ruins of Finkel Priory.
The spectacular ruins of Finkel Priory date back to 1110 AD. Founded as a hermitage by St Godric, much-travelled sailor and merchant, turned hermit, he lived to the age of 105. Following the spectacular travels of his youth, it is said that on coming to Finkel, at the age of 45, he left only 3 times. Such is the magic of the place. It was a Benedictine priory until the dissolution of the monasteries by Henry VIII's henchmen in 1537. With its treasures looted, so ended a tradition, for all its disparate wealth that had contributed so much to civilization and education in England. Shame about the caravan site.
Well, we've come to the end of the track on the riverbank, and we've come to a 5-strand barbed wire fence, so whoever owns the land's pretty keen for us people not to be on. Unfortunately, we haven't got any alternative but to go across it. Well, there is an alternative, it's to carry the bikes on our shoulders and plod through the river for a couple of miles. But we're not going to do that, we're going to trespass instead.
Hey.
Never oiled the wheel.
You gotta roll with it, you gotta take your time, you gotta say what you say, don't let anybody get in your way, 'cause it's all too much for me to take. Don't ever stand aside, don't ever be.
Hey chap, hey, what a wonderful bridge, eh?
Right, well where we are now is completely private property, we're not allowed on it. And Lawrence has got a puncture in his bike, we're just getting it fixed by our resident mechanic Phil. And then we should be
Chief
off
mechanic.
again. I'm going to have a tab while we're doing that.
Chief mechanic. Very technical at first. Have any spoons or gear or?
Right, where we are now is Belmont Viaduct, and what it was just a connection from the main East Coast main line to Leamside and things, and it doesn't seem an awful lot of point since it's closed now, and it's such a fantastic structure just to go to Leamside.
I wish I was a fisherman, tumbling on the seas, far away from dry land and its bitter memories, casting out my sweet life with a band of London love. Love ceiling bearing down on me, say the starry sky above with light in my head. You in my arms. I wish I was the brakeman on a hurtling fever train, crashing headlong into the heartland like a cannon in the rain, with the beating of the sleepers and the burning of the coal, counting the towns.
Now we're approaching the outskirts of Durham City, if you can see it up on the hill there, a little place. Woody knows exactly what it's called, he's not going to tell us. And just coming into view over there, we have the fabulous Durham Cathedral.
I will be loosened from bonds that hold me fast. If the chains all hung around me will fall away at last, and on that fine and fateful day, I will take me in my
Here we are at
hand.
the entrance of Krieger Hospital, founded in 1112. It was rebuilt for Bishop Richard de Bury in 1333 to 1345. And I don't know if you're allowed in, but shall we have a look, Lawrence?
Well, we're in, and as you can see, it's beautiful surroundings.
Small gardens around. You just turn to the back there, Lawrence, and get just up that area there.
Right, coming along here, when we get to the end of this road here, is the ice rink, Durham, and we have to come off the river and go up the bank, join the river again at the other side. Right, we're going into Durham Marketplace now, an ancient city on the river.
The Norman castle and the finest Romanesque cathedral in Europe not only dominate the skyline of ancient Durham, but the whole persona of the place. This is truly a cathedral city and a World Heritage Site. The tight, narrow streets of the centre have remained unchanged in layout since the 14th century, probably more to do with the geography than planning. The river makes a tight loop around the rock on which the castle and the cathedral stand, forming a peninsula. The massive west towers of the cathedral were completed in 1133, inspiring awe and wonder in the craftsmanship and sheer endeavour of the amazing men who built this monastery church. It dwarfs the castle across Palace Green. The 14th century keep stands on the original Norman motte. Sacked during the Civil War, it remained in a ruinous state until 1939, when it was restored by the university and used as a college. Nowadays it is the most spectacular hall of student residence in the country. It also hosts rather exclusive and expensive weddings. The exterior of the cathedral withstood the occupation of the city by the Scots in the 1640s, but the interior was much damaged when used to house starving prisoners. Completely restored since, now it is the ravages of time that occupy the permanent staff of stonemasons who maintain this magnificent building. The famous sanctuary knocker on the main door represented the right of safety and sanctuary for fugitives for 900 years. The bronze original is in the cathedral treasury. In the summer months, the city is full of tourists from all parts of the world, marvelling at one of its wonders. The medieval buildings around Palace Green are exclusively university or church, much like the powers that run Durham City. The upside is the extensive preservation of the better things, and the down being the dire nightlife and awful pubs. Change has taken place very subtly in the old street.
We should get back a little bit down there.
As you can see behind me to me right, there's some quarry works, and if we look over to the left, there's the village of Witton Park. Is this railway line used anymore?
No, it's open. It opens up next month.
All right.
It's Waydale Heritage Line. It opens up next month.
All right.
Yeah.
So where's it go to?
Right up to Eastgate.
Eastgate.
Yeah.
So
They're using it for steam trains.
all right. So how can we get from here? We want to be on the. Is it the Waydale Way that goes around the side of the river? Or not? Yeah,
that's
down
right.
to the Waydale Way again.
Best if you go on to Whitney Weir, I think.
Yeah.
You can get down this track here, down
Yeah.
the bank,
Uh-huh.
across the ford over the river.
Uh-huh.
It's about 2 inches deep. I've just come across it
All
Saturday
right.
on my bike, so it's all right. And then just go along the road, turn left at the far end into Whitney Weir.
All right.
And you hit the Waydale Way there.
All right. Thanks. Right. We're at Witton Viaduct now. And we're going off down the river here towards Witton Castle. And Whitney Way.
Come on, Pete, you can ride that down like the big stuff. I'm just hard, me up and gone down it. We know what they're going on.
Right, we've been through the worst, the thickest of any ride we could possibly take over. I don't know where the hell we are. The map says one thing, and we're entering some farmer's field. Obviously, it's very protected because the barbed wires are there. But there's a gate just up to my left here, Lawrence, and you can just see around there. So we should hopefully pick the track up there. But that was very lively, that chap. Watch your barbed wires, you come over. What?
Right. As you can see, we're now in the grounds of Witten Castle. The river's just over there. This is also land owned by the Lambtons. And as we come round this little corner here, behind these trees, we should be able to see Witten Castle up on the hill. And this is the race track that we're going round now.
Tide only gets to Chester Street, eh?
No, we planned it. Don't give it. I can't do anything. I mean, if I set away riding from here, man, I'll not get back till 12 o'clock tonight. I know, but you didn't leave the key. I had to get Neil's ladders over the road to get in.
Bleeding? I wonder what that was.
I think we'll have to have a look then, yeah? What do you think?
How far we passed Whitley, were you?
We'll have a look now.
Yes, so we're there. This is where we are now. This part here. So somehow we've got to get onto there, then we're back on the actual tracks. Oh, yeah, actually, just along here we've got to go over the river. Over the river so we can't do this. Chaps, come on, let's get the hell out of here. Yeah, for you to get the readers like now.
Well, as you've seen, our navigator got into us into a bit of a mess, and we've given up on that. We've been bitten, scratched, basically just about swimming in the river, etc. So we've had to come off the riverbank, and we've crossed over the river now, and looking for an easier path, and we're heading into Hartley Hall, and hopefully on up to Walsingham. It says there's a path on the map, but it said there was a path on the riverbank where we were yesterday. So time will tell. So hopefully on to Walsingham, and we might get a pint of beer there.
Black Bull's looking good.
Shame about Peter.
Excellent this, mate. Hey, Lawrence, I hope this is the right route, mate. This is fantastic.
The only problem is there's no river road.
No problem, there's no weeds.
It's called chaps.
No, 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 no. It's all in my mind.
Right, we've had to skip Hartley Hall as it's specially owned, well, it's actually owned by the police, and trespassers will be fully prosecuted, so I would have expected those would take proceedings, but we've had to skip round the hall a bit and follow this bridle path which we're on now, and we don't know really what's over the next hill, Phil. Yeah?
It might be a river.
Yeah,
I don't know why, but I'm not looking forward to it really.
on the trail of the weir.
I wonder why.
Makes me feel fine, blowing through the jasmine in my mind, all in my mind. See the curtains hanging in the window.
Better line than out here.
So just got your exploits in bed already today, will you?
I'm not sure what's going to happen here because that looks pretty bad, that does. You've got the full, where's that go, Phil? Does it go on your head as a halo or?
Sweet days of summer, the jasmine's in bloom. July is dressed up and playing a tune. When I come home from a hard day's work, and you're waiting there,
Let's go.
not a care in the world.
Right, we've now reached the railway line that runs parallel with the river. The undergrowth's looking pretty dense again, so the socks have come up this week. Grown. There's only Lawrence the man with short socks.
What a horrible feeling job this is. There we go.
Summer breeze makes me feel fine.
Right, as you can see here, Lawrence, I don't think we're going to get the bikes across this way. I mean, you just can't even find the bloody path again, so...
Are you a man or what?
Well, trying to be, you know, trying to prove your man out on these bike rides, but
Nothing compared to last week.
if you just look down on this angle here, I mean, we could actually wade across there, but we don't, I mean, there's a bit of a path there, but how long it goes for, we don't know. I would suggest we stop on the line myself to see where it's like a bit further along, see if there's any passes or fords or anything like that.
path's brought us back up from the riverbank onto the railway line again. That's going to take us into Woolsingham. Behind us we have the old Woolsingham Steelworks, which is of course closed.
Right, so how we're going to master this this little crystal maze here? I think we'll have a try walking around. I mean, I don't know if that's going to. Yeah, I think I'll be able to do that, Phil. I think it would have been easier lifting it over, Phil. You can walk around if you want to. That's it. Right, we're now approaching Wolsey. We're just going to cross the bridge.
Said that without moving my lips.
Even Phil, you could have said that.
Yes.
I mean, it's not quite that hard.
At last Woolsingham.
Yeah.
And Lawrence is definitely buying the ears after that little trip. Because we still remember last week.
The hour 12:10. Just finished the stage from well, ending up in Woolsingham. We're just going to pop in for a bit of a liquid refreshment. Lagers all round, I think. Is that right, Phil?
At least it's got more.
And this is the Black Bull.
At least it's got her own. What about us?
Anybody want anything else?
What else is a woman for but to buy the beer? Come on.
Right, we're back in Woolsingham now, and we're going to do the final.
He's turned into Peter, by the
Yep,
way.
I've turned into Woody, and we're off to the very final stages of this epic journey up to Weirhead.
Lawrence has knocked his bike before we start.
I used to ride with a vending machine repairman. He said he's been down this road more than twice. He was high on intellectualism. I've never been there, but the brochure looks nice. Jump in, let's go. Lay back, enjoy the show. Everybody gets high, everybody gets low. These are the days when anything goes. Every day is a winding road. I get a little bit closer. Every day is a faded sign. I get a little bit closer to feeling fine. He's got a daughter he calls Easter. She was born on a Tuesday night.
Right, we're standing on Frostley Bridge at the moment, and it was restored on the 11th of March 1996, and it looks quite nice.
Lay back, enjoy the show. Everybody gets high, everybody gets low. These are the days when anything goes. Every day is a winding road. I get a little bit closer. Every day is a faded sign. I get a little
just stopped for an ice cream.
Lawrence has found something else to video.
Thanks, 99. You alright?
I've been swimming in a sea of anarchy.
Was all that on?
No, I didn't get your coughing it up.
Yeah, it's been a lovely, lovely morning. And that's where our next stop, we're going up to
Eastgate.
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 And then Westgate. And onwards further.
Every day is a faded sign.
Seems such a long time ago. In May. Can you remember when we started this?
Oh yes.
In May. We have come a long way. We've seen a lot of things.
Got lost a lot as well.
Yeah.
It's definitely the easiest one we've done yet.
So far, this is so good.
I get a little bit closer to feeling every day is a winding road. Every day is a winding road.
Right, well the Weardale Way is proven to be a bit too rough, so we've come off the riverbank. We're sick of being bitten and stung. We've had plenty of that, so we've come onto the main road. We're going to ride to Eastgate on the road and then see if we can pick the Weardale Way up again, and hopefully it might be a bit better.
Right, this is our first view of the infamous Eastgate Cement Works. It's recently been in the news because it wants to use factory industrial waste and burn that as fuel. And all the time it just goes straight up into this lovely countryside.
Like anything was possible, hit cruise control and rub my eyes. The last 3 days, and the rain was unstoppable.
As you can see here, we're at Eastgate again. And if you notice, lovely traffic, if you notice, the trees in the immediate area are much smaller than the rest of them around. I think it has some effect on them. It now becomes an area of outstanding natural beauty.
There's something good waiting down this road. I'm picking up whatever is mine. I'm running down a dream that never would come to me. Working on a mystery, going wherever it leads. Running down a dream.
Right, at this point here, the river splits into two tributaries, or more than two. So this really is the source of the riverway behind us.
I suppose you want to go climb these hills to find these little mountain streams now with the dead sheep in them and start this thing off. You might be doing that on your own.
Yes.
At least we got some champagne out of it.
So we've made it to the very end, and We're going to have a pint. We're going to have another one after this one as well, and then we'll might have another one.
At least hasn't cooked the lunch yet. That's pretty good. Need food. Oh, so which river do you fancy next? Nile? Amazon?